Hi there, welcome back. For those of you who are walking in partway through the show, Thomas has joined us and he is going to give the cards a shuffle and ask me a question, and then we're going to see if we can't get the cards to answer that. So Thomas, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Say hello Dryden and
hello.
everywhere else. So you
Yeah.
go right ahead and shuffle.
Yeah.
So have you done this before?
No, I never did this before.
Okay,
My
well
first
that's cool
one,
that
so-
you're willing to do it on air for the very first time. I'm impressed. That shows a lot of confidence actually.
First time doing that card reading.
Okay, well this is awesome. It's interesting, first of all, that you passed me your cards. Now I'm kind of giving away a little trade secret here, but it is interesting that you passed me the cards facing up instead of this side facing up. And the reason for that is, if you're looking here, the first card is communication, which means coming up in the future, you definitely have a conversation with someone that's going to be fairly significant, okay? And when you pass me the cards facing up like this, that action, so in this case, conversation, looks like it's going to be a significant conversation within the next 3 months. So between now and, say, Christmas. Let's not make me do math this morning, but you know what I mean. Okay, so definitely a conversation of some kind coming up, and I'd like you to email me one day and let me know. Okay, it's nice to get confirmation for the people who are watching the show. That's one of the questions I'm asked sometimes. Can we get confirmation? And by all means, with your left hand, because it's closest to your heart, I'm going to ask you to cut it into 3 piles. Okay, so it's very interesting. Again, most people cut straight across, okay? One thing I don't think you've actually looked at is how creative you can be in certain areas of your life, okay? And what do I mean by that? I'm not saying pick up a paintbrush or a leather tool, but what I am saying is you can actually be a lot more creative in communications than you realize. Whether that's jotting down your life story in a journal and at some point blogging it or publishing it, or actually teaching something verbally, okay? Nothing where you're going to need a computer screen or anything like that. So you actually have a lot more creative talents than I think you've ever really tapped into. So for the next, especially over winter, it's a good time to research that. We don't get outside as much, so we're inside a lot more. So I'd start tapping into that a little bit, because I can tell you this much. Somebody will see what you're capable of doing and actually come out with an offer out of the blue. Okay, so while I'm laying out your cards, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. I'd like to buy tickets. Am I going to win something?
Okay. We're going to make you ask another question other than that, but we will answer that one for you too. Okay, I'll tell you this right now, with patience, you'll win small amounts, okay? I'm sorry, I've maybe only seen 2 people in 18 years who I can say is going to win the lottery big, and they both have, okay? My cards are not usually about money, but I can tell you this, with patience, you'll get small wins, okay? But are you going to break even? It's more a break even than a win, okay, over a long course of time. So, but it is showing here, it depends on what we look at as the lottery too. Remember when you cut your cards, I said you have a lot more creative knowledge that you haven't even tapped into yet. And if we look here, here's you. Here's you when you're patient, okay, and here's you when you're spending time by yourself. This is the Gifts of Knowledge card. You need to sometimes just kind of tune everything else out and just breathe, okay? No phones, no anything, and you haven't kind of been doing enough of that, okay? But as far as the lottery goes, no, you're not winning it, I'm afraid, okay? Fire, neither is your partner, so it's not going with her either. So go ahead and ask away. One more question.
No, I'm not into technology. I've never been into it. Yeah.
It's not too late to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, if I can turn on my own phone, anyone can learn anything about technology. Seriously.
Well, I'm in the bush, eh?
Okay. So well, yeah, so you wouldn't even have access to it. But ask another question.
Okay. Am I going to have a good day?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Okay. I'll be blunt, okay? If you're getting frustrated about something, you'll trip on a curb, you'll trip on a pebble, you'll trip on a step, okay? It's kind of right here. It's showing that as long as you're not rushing things today, you're going to have a great day, Okay, and you drove into town for a bit today, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is showing here, you guys can make this drive absolutely spectacular if you choose to. Okay, I would probably even pick up one of those disposable cameras and see what you might capture on the way back.
Yeah, right on this morning. I was in a rush, and I made a phone call, and I said, I don't have to rush. I'll just take my time.
And that's how I want you to proceed with the rest of the day. This card here represents an accident, but I'm not feeling a car. This feels like, because you're frustrated, you're rushing, perhaps turning your head as you're climbing up a curb, climbing up a step. Okay, so just make sure that anytime you're stepping down today, take a peek where you're stepping down. Okay, but no, you're going to have a good day. This is the celebration card, the success card. So definitely, you can have a fantastic day today. So if you have some stuff you're unsure about today, I wouldn't be so concerned. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Thomas, I thank you very much for being here, and obviously you don't get Channel 10 in the bush. Okay?
Yeah.
So on the card that we gave you earlier, it will show you where on YouTube, once you do get access to a computer, where you can go ahead and check out this part of the show if you like. Okay? So I thank you very much for being here today. Okay, we're going to go ahead to an email question. Thank you. Go enjoy the sunshine. Definitely. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do an email. Don't be shy. Walk on through. Oh, yeah, you have a microphone. Okay. So we are going to get to Mary's question, and it is, I figure I'm going to retire in roughly 9 years. Am I close to that, or maybe shorter? Thanks. I'm looking forward to your response on that. Okay, let's find out, Mary. 9 years. I figured out the other day when I get to retire, I figure I'll be 92, okay? Unless, Thomas, I win the lottery, and unfortunately it's not in my cards either. So I definitely have to probably work till I'm 92 or so, but that's okay. It's not like I do something very physical for a living. Okay, so Miss Mary, we're going to ask about your cards, about your question about retirement. Seems to me that there's going to be a change within the next couple of years in some of the management team. And it seems to me that perhaps they may be looking at, I don't want to use the word cutting corners because that's wrong. Sharpening the pencil, there we go. Sharpening the pencil is kind of what they're looking at doing. Perhaps eliminating a few jobs or asking others to take on more responsibility, and such is the case for you. I do tend to think with that over time, extra remuneration will come as well, but not enough that I think you would be retiring early. There does, however, feel like if your partner's business gets off the ground in the food industry, it certainly looks like you could perhaps both retire a couple of years sooner than you thought. So we do have to look at it as a combined retirement rather than perhaps just I'm going to retire there and he's going to retire there, because even through retirement it does look like this business continues as busy or as non-busy as you want to make it, and by that time I do feel you'll have a couple of employees, so that won't be an issue either. Do I feel you could retire earlier? At the very most, I feel within perhaps 7 years, 6.5 years at the most, but I don't think you'll have to stay the full 9 years. And I think if we do the math with how many years you've been there compared to, what is it, 65, or they've raised it to 67, I don't even know. But I do think that you qualify as far as the 2 or 3 years earlier retirement goes. But part of that will be the security that comes with your partner's business as well. Also seems to me that one of your own kids is actually quite brilliant when it comes to finances. So I would perhaps talk to him, and it looks like it's your younger son. I would perhaps talk to him about what he does just to stash that little bit of extra away that he chooses never to touch and puts it in a tax-free savings account perhaps. Because it actually does seem like he has some unique and different ways to stash money out of the way that doesn't come out of your regular household budget. So, can you retire early? Absolutely. But I don't think it's going to be as early as 2 or 3 years from now. I do tend to think it'll be closer to the 6.5, 7-year mark. Okay? So I hope that answers your question. And we are going to take a quick break because I talk too much and need a little drink. And we will see you shortly. Thank you.